Asterisk, what exactly did Jungkook say in Tokyo that made millions of soldiers cry nonstop? Is this the end of something he has been hiding for years? Discover the secret behind her tears and leave a comment if you feel the same way. Don't forget to like and subscribe to not miss the next developments. Asterisk, what could make the glittering city of Tokyo suddenly feel silent in the hearts of millions of fans around the world? What could make a sea of armies in all corners of the world fall silent in unison, only to break out in tears shortly afterwards? That night, something happened. Something unexpected and even possible. It can't be fixed. Right at a surprise concert that was not officially announced in downtown Tokyo, Jungkook, a BTS member known for his calmness and calm smile, suddenly stood up in front of thousands of fans and stopped the music that was playing. Everyone thought it was just part of the show, but no one was prepared for what happened next. "I'll be honest tonight. Can you still love me afterwards?" he said in a hoarse and low voice, strong enough to shake the bottom of the heart of anyone present that night. The audience, which was initially cheering, immediately fell silent. Phone camera vibrates. There was something in his voice that had never been heard before. Something very human, very fragile. Her lips trembled as she took a breath, and before saying the next sentence, tears had already begun to drip from the ends of her normally calm eyes. "I've kept this for too long. In Tokyo, I want to release it here, a place that always gives me peace." Suddenly, the LED screen behind him displays footage of his childhood, not stage clips, not videos of rehearsals or victories. This is a snapshot of his home, family, and mother. "Everyone thinks I'm always happy, but no one knows if it's the only person I want to see tonight. Never been to a concert in my life. My mother," he said as he lowered his head deeply, his voice breaking. "I always say, later I'll invite him to a big concert." But he left before I could ask him. The audience began to sob. The soldiers in the front row tried to hold back their tears, but in vain. Even some of the stage staff on the left side were seen wiping their eyes. Jungkook never cried like this on stage. Never. And that night, the whole world knew, this is not a gimmick. I'm not a perfect idol. I've been thinking about quitting. To run. To disappear. The phrase hangs in the air, as if slicing through a concert hall that was previously filled with laughter and singing. But you saved me. Every letter, every fan art, every comment of yours kept me going. One of the most heartbreaking moments came when he mentioned a letter sent by the Japanese army named Eri, who wrote that she also lost her mother at the same age as Jungkook. Eri's letter made me realize, I'm not alone. After that, Jungkook asked for all the stage lights to be turned off. The concert stopped for a few minutes, but nothing moved. Nobody complained. No one even made a sound. There was only crying and sacred silence. A few minutes later, when the lights came back on, Jungkook sang a previously unreleased song. The song was titled Iyama, I'm Sorry, and apparently it was a song he had written since 2016 but had always been denied entry to the album because it was too personal. The song is a letter of apology to his mother, for himself, for a time that can never be repeated. The lyrics are so catchy. I sang to thousands, but not to you. I smiled for millions, but cried for you, and now that you're gone, I'm singing alone. Mom, I'm sorry, I should have come home. The song ignited a wave of emotions that could not be controlled. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everything exploded in just minutes. The hashtag Jungkook Tokyo Confession became trending #1 in 47 countries in less than 15 minutes. But not only because of virality, but because of sincerity. The emotional nakedness of a man who has always seemed perfect. But as it turned out, that was just the beginning. A few days after the concert, a former HYB staffer, who requested that his identity be withheld, revealed that for years, Jungkook refused to make his mother's story part of BTS' public narrative due to unfinished trauma. He mentioned that in some internal discussions, Jungkook once cried when he heard a demo song that reminded him of his childhood in Busan. But he always removed the part before the production process of the final album began. Other sources also say that the song Euphoria, which fans love so much, originally had a much more melancholic and touching alternative version about loss. But Jungkook refused to release it and chose a brighter version because ARMY deserves my happiness, not my trauma. Even more surprising, after the performance in Tokyo, Jungkook called Jimin directly in the middle of the night. According to an airport staffer who watched from a distance, she was talking on the phone crying and said, "Hyung, I finally did it. But why does it hurt so much?" Jimin reportedly flew straight to Tokyo the next day, secretly unannounced, only to accompany Jungkook and hug him behind the hotel where they used to stay during promotions in Japan. A blurry photo showing them sitting on the roof of a Tokyo building, hugging in silence, immediately spread among the army and sparked massive outrage. The question now is this the beginning of Jungkook opening a new chapter in his life? Will he begin to embrace the personal side that he has been hiding so hard? HYBE has not yet given an official statement, but fans speculated that this moment could be a turning point in Jungkook's career, not just in terms of music, but from the narrative of him as a real human being, not just an idol. Meanwhile, the song Iyama, I'm Sorry, which was recorded live that night, leaked unofficially and spread like wildfire among the army. Many urged HYBE to immediately release it as an official single, even if only in the form of a tribute. But some fans also asked that the song be left exclusive as a form of tribute to that very intimate moment. Behind all this, one thing is indisputable: that night in Tokyo, it was not just an ordinary concert. It was the burial of an old wound, and the birth of something new, sincerity that is finally unleashed, without a mask, without a script. And if you also feel emotional tremors while reading this, write in the comments. Tell me about your memories of Jungkook. Have you lost someone like him? Did that song make you cry? Let's make this space a place where we can all be honest. Like him. Don't forget to hit the like button if you want HYBE to release this song. Subscribe to stay on top of this emotional journey. Because as Jungkook said at the end of his concert that night ***, this time, I won't hide it anymore. If you still want to hear, I'll keep singing. Jungkook once openly rejected a variety show script prepared for him because in the script there was a part that deliberately made him a mockery regarding his closeness with Taehyung. According to one of the show's scriptwriters, Jungkook was angry and said, "I'm not a puppet for you to make a cheap joke out of. And I'm not going to sacrifice someone who means something to me just for the sake of ratings." Afterwards, the production crew stated that they received instructions to no longer provide Jungkook with scripts with sensitive elements. Not out of respect for his boundaries, but because they feared Jungkook would open disgrace on the live broadcast. Their fears are not wrong. In a live broadcast a few weeks later, Jungkook inserted a short sentence that thrilled the global community. Sometimes it's not about who is the most highlighted, but who is the most restricted. The sentence is considered the most direct allusion to the different treatment Taehyung received. Many fans noticed that in almost every group's content, Taehyung always gets less screen time, awkward clip cuts, or framing that makes him seem less involved. A former video editor mentioned that they received orders to always choose the quietest part of Taehyung so as not to steal too much attention from the main narrative. There was even a one-time recording of the concert that was re-edited only because Taehyung was too expressive while staring at Jungkook while performing a sentimental song. Furthermore, it was alleged that HYBE deliberately formed an invisible dividing line between the two members because their emotional closeness was considered to disrupt the power structure within the group. A former artist development manager said in a leaked voice recording that the two are too strong to be together. We need distance so that the balance does not wobble. And when asked what is meant by balance, the voice replied, brand image. Too intense a connection between two male idols can create a public perception that we cannot control. And the publication should remain in our hands, not in their hands. Taehyung is said to have addressed his complaint directly to the executive, and what was surprising was his response, not a support, but a warning. An internal source claimed that Taehyung was given a behavior warning letter after canceling interviews too often. In fact, according to the source, the reason Taehyung canceled it was because he knew that in the interview there would be questions that led to his personal relationship with Jungkook, questions that had previously been promised would not be included. They set him up, the source revealed. And when he refused to play in that trap, they punished him as if he was selfish. In a moment of closed-door practice secretly recorded by the technical staff, Jungkook was heard sighing loudly after a heated discussion with the management. He was heard saying, "You want us to look perfect, but forget we can get hurt too. You want us to be close to the fans, but you forbid us to be honest with ourselves. Then who exactly are we serving here, the audience or your own fears?" And behind all this pressure, a more dangerous pattern begins to emerge: mental manipulation wrapped in the label of character development. The former corporate psychologist admitted that the counseling sessions given to members were not purely to support their mental health, but rather to adjust personal narratives to be in line with marketing targets. Jungkook was even reported to have stopped his therapy sessions after he said he wanted to step back from the spotlight and focus on his spiritual life. Reason for termination? According to an internal letter, not aligned with the direction of the 2023 promotion. And when Taehyung tries to channel his emotions and frustrations through painting and poetry, the works are banned from official publication. One of the paintings he sent for display in the High Project exhibition was returned to him without explanation, just a short memo, too dark for the brand's image. In fact, according to an independent art curator who had a chance to see the painting, the work depicts the deepest emotions that idols rarely express, a painting of a man's face with his mouth covered with tape and eyes looking sharply at the searchlight. Taehyung keeps the painting in his private studio. And to this day, the painting has never been seen publicly. This whole series of facts and testimonies shows that what Taehyung and Jungkook experienced was not just an ordinary injustice. This is a vivid example of how the system can finish off the most human side of a person in order to maintain the illusion that it is comfortable for the market. And the most ironic? The system was built by hands that initially claimed to want to protect them. But the truth can no longer be hidden. And no tape is strong enough to silence a voice that has chosen to speak. Jungkook once said in one off-record session that he no longer recognized himself when reviewing footage that had been edited by HYB's team. They removed the part when I was crying, removed the part when I was angry, removed the part when I was silent too much. All that was left was a fake smile and a cut voice, he said in a rehearsal room attended by only one staff member who now chose to speak. Taehyung once even made a hurtful remark to the creative visual staff during a photoshoot session. "Are you afraid that I look like a human being?" The sentence came after 2 times the photographer interrupted her expression and asked her, "Be more generic, more mysterious, but don't get too personal." Here's proof that what's being sold to the public isn't them. It's a plastic version of them curated to satisfy algorithms and sponsors. There was an incident when HYB was said to have deliberately changed the placement of Jungkook and Taehyung's seating location on a famous variety show for fear that their chemistry would shift the main focus from the product promotion message that was inserted. Whereas in the early script, the two sat side by side and had a reaction segment together. But an hour before it aired, the segment was cut and the two separated, complete with the excuse that their interaction patterns are too unpredictable commercially. One of the video editors who handled post-production even mentioned that he was asked several times to speed up or remove parts when the two laughed too long together. They said it could invite unnecessary speculation. What's worse, in a behind-the-scenes event where Jungkook spontaneously calmed an emotional Taehyung after the stage, HYB is said to have not only not released the footage, but also issued an internal memo so that such interactions don't become a recorded routine. They called it non-ideal footage for long-term brand management. In fact, moments like that are precisely what fans love because they show the most human side of their two biggest idols. But apparently, being loved by fans is not what the company wants. There was an event in 2021 that fans still find strange: Jungkook's disappearance from an interview session with another member without explanation. According to the logistics staff who were then handling the transportation, Jungkook was present, ready, and had even put on the prepared outfit. But suddenly the order came: postpone the entry. Let it be only 6 people. Moments later, he was seen coming out of the building with an expression that was never explained. Now, there are allegations that it was a form of internal punishment because Jungkook refused to make a request for pre-briefed fan interaction, which he felt was too inauthentic for him. Such tacit sanctions are referred to as loyalty control procedures, a term that even internal staff refer to as a form of psychological intimidation. Taehyung did not escape this treatment. In his solo project, he wanted to insert a recording of his mother's voice as a form of personal tribute. However, that part was called irrelevant to the global target market and was eventually removed from Final Cut. In fact, he once refused a certain branded costume because he felt uncomfortable, and as a result, his contract was cut and his appearance was excluded from promoting the group in certain regions. HYB, in a scattered memo, wrote, "An overly personal attitude of the artist can adversely affect corporate relations. It's as if personal feelings and integrity are a business distraction, not a basic human right." Most astounding is the claim that HYB once banned Jungkook and Taehyung from sharing hotel rooms during a tour, despite both publicly stating their comfort while together. The official reason given was privacy restrictions for media documentation, but according to two staffers who had arranged their hotel bookings, the directive came from the center, not because of logistics, but because their proximity creates a fandom bias that could potentially upset the commercial balance. Even to sleep in the same room, two friends must have written permission. One former personal security staffer revealed that on one occasion, Taehyung was seen getting angry backstage after learning that a segment of his interaction with Jungkook during rehearsals was cut completely out of the rebroadcast. He simply said, "What's wrong with being honest when I'm at peace with him?" Nobody answered. Instead, an